I'm Emily Hayes. I'm 31 now, sitting in my Chicago apartment watching snow fall outside the window. There's a letter on the table, shaky handwriting on cheap nursing home paper. After 14 years of silence, my mother wants to see me. She says she's sick. She says she's sorry. The funny thing is, snow always pulls me back to that night, January 5th, 2012. I was 17, coming home from school, like any other Friday. Backpack on one shoulder, mind on the history test I'd just aced. Thinking about weekend plans, about the concert ticket I'd saved up for typical teenage stuff. No idea that in less than an hour I'd be trudging through a brutal snowstorm fighting to stay alive. The second I walked in, the tension hit like a wall. My mother was standing in the living room, face red with rage. Hands clenched, holding crumpled bills and empty medication bottles. My brother Matthew stood behind her, looking as worried as possible. The perfect picture of an older brother who just discovered something awful about his little sister. But his eyes gave away a smug glint. Our stepfather Daniel stood in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, silent as usual. My mother didn't let me put my backpack down. She exploded right away, accusing me of stealing from her purse for months, saying I'd been hiding medication in my room, that Matthew had found the evidence. Bills stuffed in my drawer, bottles under my bed, messages proving I was dealing with suppliers. I tried to explain, swore I'd never touched her money, never seen those bottles. But she cut me off, her mind already made up. Matthew had spent the whole day prepping her, feeding her sweet-sounding lies. He played the concerned brother, saying he'd tried to help me quit, couldn't watch his little sister destroy herself anymore. A perfect performance, and she swallowed every word. She grabbed my arm hard enough to bruise, dragged me to the door, threw my backpack at my chest so hard I stumbled, opened the door to howling wind and thick snow. Temperature below zero. Looked me dead in the eye and screamed those words. "Get out of my house. I don't need a sick daughter like you." She shoved me into the storm. Door slammed. Lock clicked. At 17, I was out. Stood there a few minutes, stunned, waiting for the door to open again, but it didn't. No coat, no phone, just books and a protein bar in my bag. Started walking toward Grandma Margaret's house 6 miles away. The only safe place I knew. Snow soaked through my shoes. Wind cut like a knife. Cars sped past. First mile soaked my jeans. Second mile numbed my hands. Third mile, my jaw was chattering. Hypothermia creeps in. Body slows, mind fogs. The idea of resting just a minute starts sounding good. Made it 3 miles before I collapsed. Leaned on a road sign for a second, then my knees buckled. Ground rushed up. Everything went dark. 1 hour after throwing her daughter out, my mother's phone rang. Police calling. Her face went pale when she heard what they said. But by then it was already too late. Before we dive into my story, tell me what time you're watching and which city you're in, so I know how far my story has traveled. If you're hooked, please subscribe and drop a comment below. I see them all. Thank you so much for your support. To understand why my brother did what he did, we have to go back to 2010 when my father died. My father, Robert Hayes, passed from heart disease. I was 15. Matthew was 21. One day, we still had a dad who fixed bikes on weekends and helped with math homework. The next, we were standing by his hospital bed as the monitors stopped. My mother collapsed completely, barely functioning. Went to her teaching job, came home, stared at walls. The house fell into chaos. Matthew stepped up. At 21, he handled groceries, bills, my school paperwork. Became the reliable one, the mature son my mother leaned on. She praised him nonstop. "What would I do without you, Matthew? You're keeping this family afloat. You're the rock." She never asked how he was coping with our father's death. Just expected him to handle everything. My mother had her favorites. Matthew and her quiet routines. Both were falling apart underneath, but she ignored the cracks. What she didn't see, what she refused to acknowledge, was Matthew's dark side. He wasn't just helping. He was taking control. It started small. My essays disappearing before deadlines. Field trip forms never reaching teachers. My clothes shrinking in the wash. Oops, accident. Birthday invites friends never received. Calls from classmates getting lost. An image of me as unreliable spreading without my knowledge. He'd go to my teachers with a sad face saying, I was struggling after Dad's death, acting out at home, needed patience. He painted a picture of a troubled kid, and they believed him because he seemed so steady, so caring. I tried telling my mother once, laid out exactly how Matthew was sabotaging me, spreading lies. She brushed it off. "You're just jealous of your brother. He's saving this family. Be grateful." After that, I stayed quiet, kept myself small, endured until I could get out. Matthew's control grew. He accessed household accounts, made decisions without input. I saw the changes but couldn't prove them. My mother adored him, blind to his manipulation. He built his role as the golden son while I became the outsider. The divide deepened every day. By 2011, it was set. Matthew dominated the family dynamic, and I navigated around his traps. His actions weren't random. They were laying the groundwork for something bigger, something tied to the money our father left behind. 2 years after my father died in 2011, my mother remarried Daniel Brooks. Daniel seemed okay at first. Smiled a lot, cooked simple meals, tried to fit in. Matthew called him Dad right away. Smart move to lock in his position as the loyal son. I couldn't. My real father had only been gone 2 years. Calling this man the same name felt wrong. It wasn't about Daniel. My grief was still raw, but that choice isolated me more. From then on, Daniel treated me like an intruder in my own home. He and Matthew bonded fast, forming their own alliance. I stayed on the outside. By the time I was 17, the roles were locked. Matthew, the perfect son, untouchable. Me, the difficult daughter, always under suspicion. Then the money came into play. My father had set up trust funds for us, $45,000 each, accessible at 18. Not a fortune, but a start, a gift from a father who wouldn't be there. Matthew got his at 18 inches, 2009, blew it fast. Sports car designer clothes, lavish dates, with his girlfriend Nicole, a smooth talker with big schemes but no steady job. By 2011, his fund was gone. Nicole was always pitching the next big opportunity, the deal that would definitely make them rich. My $45,000 sat safe until 2014 when I'd turn 18, unless I got taken out first. The trust had a protection clause. If a child was declared incompetent or institutionalized before 21, the share would go to a family guardian for management. Matthew and Nicole figured that out. If I ended up institutionalized for abuse issues, say from planted evidence of theft and medication problems, a trustworthy guardian would handle my money. Someone like a devoted older brother who only wanted the best for me. $45,000. That's what I was worth to Matthew. The price he put on his own sister. Weeks before everything blew up, their plan kicked into gear. Small withdrawals from my mother's account using her card. Matthew knew her PIN from handling finances. Nicole's old prescription bottles saved up. A cheap burner phone bought with cash loaded with fake messages. They planned carefully, timing it for maximum impact. Morning of January 5th, 2012, while I grabbed breakfast before school. Matthew slipped into my room, stuffed the cash in my nightstand drawer, medication bottles in my backpack pocket, a paper with the burner number as supplier contact. Then he went to our mother with fake tears, revealing his little sister's dark secret. She bought every word, primed by years of him being the trustworthy one and me the problem. I'd been framed as unstable long before I even knew the picture existed. When I walked in that afternoon, judgment was waiting. Trial over verdict, guilty sentence, exile. My mother confronted me immediately, evidence in hand. I denied everything, but she raged on. Grabbed my arm, dragged me to the door, threw my backpack hard. Door flew open to swirling snow. She screamed those words that echoed. Get out of my house. I don't need a sick daughter like you. Pushed me onto the steps. Door slammed. Lock clicked. Homeless at 17. I lingered a moment, shock holding me. No reversal. Phone left inside. Bag held books, a protein bar, nothing for survival. Started toward Grandma Margaret's 6 miles away. Snow piled high, wind cut sharp. Path slick, cars skimmed by. First mile soaked my jeans. Second mile numbed my hands. Third mile, my jaw chattered. Hypothermia sneaks in. Body slows, mind fogs, rest, temps. Made 3 miles before my legs gave out. Leaned on a signpost for a second, then knees buckled. Ground came up fast. Darkness swallowed everything. 1 hour later, my mother's phone rang. Officer on the line, tone flat. Incident reported. Her daughter found unconscious in snow, hypothermia. Heading to local hospital. And ma'am, child services alerted. Worker en route. Questions about why a 17-year-old was walking alone in deadly weather without gear or contact. Bring any proof you have. Her face went pale, reality crashing in. Matthew beside her mask cracking for a split second. The person who found me wasn't random. Patricia Larson, 35 years in child protection, retired but sharp. Driving home from a meeting, headlights caught me. She knew the signs of neglect, instantly refused to let it slide. I woke under hospital lights, antiseptic smell strong. Itchy blanket tucked tight. Felt protected for the first time in years. A woman sat beside me. Silver hair, neat glasses, low on her nose, book set aside. Eyes sharp, taking everything in. She was Patricia Larson, 68, fresh off a career in child services. She'd seen every kind of neglect, every adult lie about kids. That night, her headlights caught a teenage girl down in the snow alone, unprotected. Pulled over fast, had a blanket ready from old work days. Wrapped me up, called 911. Stayed until the ambulance came, followed to the ER. When I opened my eyes 4 hours later, she was still there. Handed me warm tea from the vending machine. "Tastes awful," she said, "but it'll help." I managed a weak smile. Then she asked straight, why was a 17-year-old out in a blizzard without a coat or phone? I told her everything. The setup years of Matthew's games. Things I'd never told anyone because no one ever listened. She nodded, took it all in without doubt. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. "I believe you. We'll prove it." While I was out, things had been moving. Hospital flagged a minor in danger, contacted authorities. Police reached next of kin, my mother. The scene must have stunned her. Officer relayed, "Your daughter unconscious in snow. Claims you expelled her during the storm. Hypothermia. At General Hospital. Come in. Child services involved. Worker on site. Bring whatever evidence you have." My mother and Matthew arrived around 10 p.m. I was awake by then, sitting up Patricia at my side. Room held CPS worker Susan Ramirez and a uniformed officer too. Not the welcome they expected. They looked shaken, more annoyed than guilty. Expected a scared girl ready to confess and beg to come home. Instead, found professionals asking pointed questions about why a child was wandering in lethal conditions unequipped. The power shift hit Matthew hard. He tried his usual script: concerned brother, troubled sister. We just want what's best for her. Susan wasn't buying it. 30 years had sharpened her radar for deception, and he set off every alarm. Then Grandma Margaret stormed in. 68. Small but fierce. Never fully trusted my mother or her new family. Drove 35 minutes in 20. Heels clicking with purpose. Burst in like a force, positioned herself between me and them. "This is my granddaughter," she announced. "What has this woman done now?" my mother tried explaining. "Started on the stealing medication evidence." Grandma listened about 30 seconds before raising a hand. "Laura, I've known you 17 years. Never the sharpest, but this might top it. Threw a child into a blizzard based on what things that magically appeared. Did you even ask her side?" My mother opened her mouth, closed it. Grandma nodded. "That's what I thought." Grandma demanded an emergency custody hearing. Midnight was close, but she didn't care. Called a judge she knew from community work. Social worker laid out the facts. Minor expelled into hazardous weather. No investigation first. No verification. Found hypothermic. Evidence unexamined. By 1 a.m., it was granted. Temporary guardianship to Margaret Hayes. No contact from my mother until investigation complete. CPS would interview everyone. Close look at those claims. As we left, my mother reached out. Grandma blocked without breaking stride. "You lost the right when you threw her away. We're leaving." She guided me to her old sedan heater, blasting extra blanket. Tears streamed down my face. "Grandma, I have nothing." She squeezed my hand. "You have me. Tomorrow we shop. Tonight, warm food and a bed where no one will throw you out." 2 weeks later, CPS called Grandma with a serious tone. "Hayes, Susan Ramirez said you might want to sit down. We've examined the evidence your daughter-in-law provided. Timelines don't add up and footage tells a different story. Matthew's plan was falling apart and he had no idea. Susan wasn't just checking boxes. She dug like a detective. Traced every receipt, every timestamp. The cash started it. $800 in my drawer. My mother said it proved months of stealing. Open and shut. But Susan checked bank records. That $800 came from one ATM withdrawal on January 5th. Footage at 2:30 p.m. showed, not me. Matthew, clear as day jacket from that morning ponytail, his blue SUV in the background with the dent from last summer. A libus mater. Mine airtight. 30. I was in history class discussing revolutions. School system logged me present until 3. Teacher remembered my comment on key events. Impossible for me to make the withdrawal. 12 miles away, full class of witnesses. Matthew slipped. Used our mother's card, forgot banks have cameras. Withdrew mid-afternoon, didn't check my schedule. Bought the burner at a store near his work on tape, in his hoodie SUV visible. Some masterminds overlook basics. Then the medication. Bottles traced to Nicole Vance's prescription. Anxiety meds from Oak Clinic Pharmacy. Susan called them. Interesting detail. Nicole reported them stolen, filed a police report, claimed car break-in. Very concerned. Except reported January 8th, 3 days after. If stolen and planted January 5th, why the delay? Obvious. No theft. Matthew used them for the frame Nicole reported after for cover and refill. The gap screamed setup. The burner sealed it. Bought January 1st, 4 days prior. Susan got store footage. Buyer. Young man, ponytail, athletic build, paid cash, but SUV visible through the window with the dent. Same car, same trail, straight back to my brother. Investigation widened to family finances. Checks from mother's account over 2 years. Forged signatures close but off. Money to Nicole's ventures. Total $18,000. Matthew hadn't just framed me. He'd been robbing our mother steadily, needed me gone before anyone noticed. April 2012, family court at the local courthouse. Grandma hired Thomas Keller, old family friend who'd practiced family law for 30 years. Known my father since school. When Grandma explained, his face hardened, he was all in. Filed for permanent guardianship immediately. Also sued Matthew for fraud, emotional distress. Made sure my trust had extra oversight until 18. That year taught me something I still carry. Keep records of everything. Receipts, messages, promises, write it down. Grandma kept folders for every important document. I started at 16, bought my first filing cabinet. Still have it. Living with Grandma Margaret meant rules. Meals on time, homework first, no nonsense early. Her house modest but safe, full of love. New school, clean slate. Real friends. Therapy finally unpacked the manipulation I'd absorbed without realizing. Grandma strict about one thing. Dinner talk. Chaos can wait until after the meatloaf. Best advice ever. Meanwhile, my mother's world crumbled. CPS put everything under a microscope. She faced repeated questioning each session, wearing her down. How had she missed so much? How so blind Daniel slept in the guest room? Conversations clipped tense. Matthew furious, not sorry, just mad his plan failed. Blamed bias, misleading footage, misunderstandings. The golden child's crown slipping unbearable. Thomas spent months building an airtight case. Bank footage, pharmacy records, store tape. Statements from Patricia, teachers, neighbors who'd seen Matthew's car at odd hours. Even old friends came forward, tired of his lies. Court date set for April. But March brought a twist. Nicole got arrested in Nevada. Feds picked her up for running scams across states. Over $400,000 from victims. Facing serious time. Her lawyer called the next day. She was ready to cooperate for a deal, tell everything, including what she and Matthew did to me. No way out. Nicole wasn't loyal. Prosecutors offered reduced sentence, she sang. 12-page statement. The frame was Matthew's idea from the start. He'd been stealing from our mother 2 years, funneling to Nicole's schemes. When hiding got harder, he needed a scapegoat. Me, the misfit sister no one would believe. Institutionalizing solved 2 problems. Blame the missing money on me. Get access to my trust as guardian. $45,000 to steal, while I sat discredited and alone. She listed planning sessions, bottles supplied phone he bought morning he planted. Texts preserved proving premeditated cold. In court, I'd been with Grandma 5 months. Gained weight. The good way made honor roll felt normal. Walked in, nervous but supported. Patricia there too, fierce as ever. Hearing supposed to be simple guardianship support turned bigger. DA got involved from evidence mountain. Criminal charges on the table. Matthew with public defender looked smaller. Our mother alone, Daniel, refused to come. Aged 10 years in months. Evidence presented systematically. ATM footage of Matthew at 2. My school records proving class. Pharmacy delay report. Store footage of phone buy. 2 years forged checks totaling $18,000. Nicole's confession read word for word. Matthew testified, stuck to innocence, confused act. Prosecutor pressed. Hayes, this you at the bank January 5th. He swallowed. Errands. $800 for errands. And you accused your sister same day, same amount. Silence. Distance to her school. How could she withdraw while in history class? More silence. Objections overruled. Facts didn't care. Daniel called voice low. Saw Matthew in Emily's room that morning, said borrowing charger. Came out empty-handed. Days before overheard him with Nicole. Everything in place. Room still. My mother testified last. Had to explain expelling me unequipped. Admitted no bank check, no doubt of Matthew, no hearing my side. Voice cracked. I trusted him. My firstborn. The steady one. Judge Elizabeth Grant, 30 years on the bench, cut sharp. Hayes' trust is no excuse for negligence. You expelled a minor into deadly conditions on unverified claims. No investigation, no sense. That's abandonment, not parenting. Your son orchestrated calculated cruelty. Stole, lied, manipulated you into it. You allowed it because preferring the flattering child was easier than parenting the one who needed you. Matthew's plea. Fraud, theft, false statements, child endangerment. 2 years suspended, no prison unless violated. 5 years probation, 200 community service hours, full restitution of $18,800. Permanent restraining order. No contact 500 feet or jail. Felony record forever. No finance jobs, trust positions, work with kids or vulnerable adults. Mother lost guardianship permanently. Ordered to pay therapy education until 21. College fund from restitution. Town found out everything. Small places talk. Friends stopped calling. Neighbors looked away. Church groups suddenly busy. Daniel filed divorce weeks later. Complicit in my pain, couldn't face the reminder. Judge turned to me. Miss Hayes, your resilience amid extraordinary cruelty impresses. Permanent custody to Margaret Hayes. Trust protected. Hope your future brighter than your past. 14 years later, January 2026, I got the letter from my mother at the nursing home. Forwarded to Grandma's address. She called voice neutral. Something here you need to see. I drove down that weekend. Plain envelope, shaky script. Return address. Oakwood Care, an hour from where I grew up. Opened it at her kitchen table, coffee going cold. Dear Emily, it began. I know I don't deserve to ask anything. You could throw this away unread. But time is short, need to say before I go. Here at Oakwood, after stroke last year. Weak now. Daniel, long gone. Took his share, moved west with someone new. House sold. Nothing left of old life. Matthew visited recently. I wouldn't let him in. Can't look at him without remembering what I did because of his lies. You're the only one I need to see. I was your mother, failed in the worst way. Believed lies over truth. Chose comfort over justice. Threw you away like nothing. You owe me nothing. But if you can come once, apologize in person before it's too late. Your mother, Laura. I sat a long time, light shifting across the table. Grandma waited, no pressure. 14 years building without her. Did I owe anything? No. Thought of my father, the person he'd raised me to be. But cycles break by choice. Decided not to go. Not for her, for my peace. Nursing home standard. Harsh lights, smell of endings masked. Her room basic. Bed window TV droning unwatched. She looked frail, 70 but like 85. Stroke took something vital, left her crumpled. No tears when I arrived, but I didn't go in. Sent a note instead. Forgiveness isn't mine to give. You chose to believe lies because it suited. Matthew flattered, I reminded you of loss. I thrived anyway. College on my terms. Career climbed. Marrying Andrew, who'd never abandon in light rain, let alone a blizzard. Fully happy. Carry your burden. Not mine anymore. Staff passed it on, she nodded, silent. Later, a nurse stopped me. You're her daughter, right? I nodded. Your brother came last month. She refused. Said she could only stomach apologizing to one child and it wasn't him. Couldn't look at his face without seeing her guilt. I stood still. After years as the throwaway, she finally rejected the favorite. Too late for change. But closure settled. Walked out into crisp January air. Same month, new meaning. Once betrayal and freeze, now fresh starts and warmth. Some storms don't destroy, they redirect. Lost a house, found a real home. Lost a mother unworthy, gained a grandma who was. Lost a brother unloving, found myself. Andrew, waiting home. Takeout ready, bad movie cued. His patient look. How was it? I leaned into him. Finally done. He held me, no more questions. Wedding next fall at Grandma's. Small close friends, her cooking. And somewhere out there, Matthew scrapes by in low jobs, record haunting. My mother alone with regrets. Daniel pretending none of us existed. But me, success in Chicago. Earned career-loving partner, stubborn grandma, probably outliving us all. Even got that concert poster framed in my office. Worth the wait. From this I learned, trust your gut on family red flags. Leave toxic ties to protect yourself. Justice exists through systems like CPS and courts in America. This story reminds viewers, don't let manipulation destroy, build resilience.